All right, welcome everyone. I see Hassan, I see Cryptplex, OXR, Team Claradora, welcome. Whale North, Oxy, Pandu, Hugh Pao, Guedes, Darren, Pitcher, T1. Some new faces, some familiar faces, great to see. Or names, I guess I should say. All right. Just 1 second here. Perfect. All right, so we are live on YouTube, and the link is posted in AMA Archive. Oh, very good. So let's get started. Different things to go through, different questions this week. Of course, if you guys have any questions as I'm going through or comments, thoughts, please be sure to drop it in the AMA chat on Sphere Discord, and we'll be happy to address it, if it's appropriate, of course. All right, so many of you probably saw the announcement for the Sphere earnings pool, and the Sphere earnings pool was temporarily paused in order to prepare for the kickoff of vSPHERE. But we are not quite there yet with vSPHERE, so you may have noticed that the rewards are now back online. All right, so I did want to say that up front in this AMA. But in that line, we did see that there were a lot of questions in chat, surprisingly, or I guess surprisingly or maybe not surprisingly, asking about vSPHERE. So I did want to review how it works. So currently the vAPR of vSPHERE is funded from the ecosystem and treasury yield. And with vSPHERE, a portion of that treasury yield will be used to buy Sphere from the liquidity pool. So right away, that gives liquidity support for Sphere, as it provides a consistent source of buy pressure to the LP. So then that bought Sphere is then converted to vSPHERE and is distributed proportionally to YL Spherians. So now, as a user, as a YL Spherian, that vSPHERE can either be zapped into YL Sphere as a means of compounding, or it can be vested for a user-specified period of time. Vesting will result in a quicker means of claiming the liquid Sphere tokens. Oh, can you not hear me, T1? Can everyone hear me in AMA stage? Okay, okay. Uh-oh. And it looks like I'm good on YouTube. Well, I should be. You can, okay. All right. All right. Well, the YouTube should be recording at the very least. So, for those who are having difficulties, so it'll at least be there. So let me jump back. Very good. Thanks for everyone for responding. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Back on track. Thanks everyone for helping coordinate that. All right. So yes. So as a YL Spherian, your vSPHERE can either be zapped into YL Sphere as a means of compounding, or it can be vested. So vesting will result in a quicker means of claiming liquid Sphere tokens. However, it comes at a cost of a portion of the tokens being burned, and that amount burned will increase the shorter the duration of your chosen vesting period. So basically, it allows users who wish to sell their vSPHERE more quickly do so just at the cost of burning a portion of that sphere. So ultimately, we hope that this is a good solution for everyone. Non-lockers, just token holders, can benefit from the buy pressure and liquidity support from treasury yield buying Sphere from the market. I should say potentially benefit. Then lockers who wish to sell their Sphere earnings can choose the duration of vesting and the corresponding burn cost. And then, of course, lockers who wish to compound their Sphere can easily do so as well. So it's a pretty neat system that should tailor to different people, different users in the ecosystem, so that there's potentially benefits for everyone. Now, something else that I feel I should always clarify that I did see in the chats as well is that vSphere is not to be confused with vESPHERE, though I definitely get that they sound and look similar, so I can definitely understand the potential confusion there. vSphere stands for vested sphere, and as I just described all of its mechanisms with either zapping or um, vesting. Whereas vESPHERE stands for vote escrowed sphere, and that will come much later with Sphere v3 as the meta governance token of the Sphere ecosystem. So we will see vSphere much sooner than we will see vESPHERE. So just keep that in mind. Also, this should really be a weekly reminder that YL Sphere must either be relocked or withdrawn manually after the 17-week lock period in order to avoid the risk of being booted from the pool. And that next unlock will occur in just a couple hours from now with the transition to the next epoch, so please check your position and take action accordingly. If you have any unlocks, be sure to either manually relock or withdraw them. All right, Lilo said from T1, the team was planning on releasing vSphere this upcoming epoch. I'll assume it will be next epoch, otherwise there would have been an announcement confirming this. Correct. So we are not quite there yet with vSphere. So the normal rewards have kicked back online. We want to make sure that everything is functioning as smoothly as it can. And unfortunately, we do have to delay it. But again, we want to make sure everything is seamless and functions appropriately. But you will notice that the rewards are back online, so everything should be kicked off back into full gear in that respect, just without vSphere for now. No problem. But per Chronos, with this next epoch, so again, in just a couple hours, the concentrated liquidity pools should be opening, which means that votes and bribes can be cast for these concentrated liquidity pools, and liquidity can be deposited, and emissions will start the following epoch, right? Because you have to vote, and then those votes have to lock in and then determine emissions. So those emissions won't start till next epoch. But as T1 is mentioning, these concentrated liquidity pools will be managed exclusively through Dyson, which is awesome. And just in general, concentrated liquidity can bring a lot of capital efficiency relative to the Uni V2 style vaults, as we've seen and demonstrated and talked about many different ways. And of course, it can significantly lower costs through our ALM solution, which is indeed Dyson. It's really cool to see, really exciting to see. And I'm also excited to see the integration of our analytics once those are able to go live through the concentrated liquidity vaults as well. So we'll see. Hopefully Chronos is on the ball, and we will indeed see those in just a couple hours, folks. Now, Preon. Preon's audit has been complete for some time now, and hopefully the auditors writing the full report of the audit process and final results will be able to publish soon. But this is out of our control. Regardless, our trajectory for Preon is looking very good in terms of our plans for launch and launch partners. And I hope you are all excited, because I know I'm excited. It's going to be a really cool time. Now, hopefully you all saw, it is no longer a tweet, it is now a post, because tweets no longer exist, apparently. However, Sim posted a post. It's just weird to say. That the team has been working on building even more collateralization methods to hopefully be ready before we even launch for Preon. So, if you have any ideas for protocols that you are farming on currently or know about that you'd like to see collateralized, please let us know. Apparently, some what am I trying to say? This is how efficient Sim is at building things. He's just like, yeah, let's just add some more right before launch. It's awesome to see. Yep, thank you. So Oxy posted that tweet in AMA chat. I also threw it in AMA board for those interested. It's like classic. That's a classic Sim move, I would say. Um, exactly, exactly. But it does segue me a little bit into my next point, which is in terms, and this is a bit different on a different note, but just in general, in terms of decentralization and security, we did want to emphasize that Sim does not hold a key to anything in the protocol that would make the entire protocol have to trust him to not be malicious. Everything is either immutable, locked behind a time lock, and or locked behind a multi-sig. So we do want to be clear on that. Also, with respect to the multi-sig and in our commitment to transparency, we will soon be releasing the vSPHERE quarterly treasury report for the end of Q2. I know this has been a heavily anticipated release for quite some time. So this report will provide a more comprehensive overview of our financial activities during the past quarter, and it will be able to compare to our Q1 report. So giving you all insight into our management and utilization of resources, which I initially coming from the community, of course, and still considering myself part of the community in many ways, find incredibly important and helpful. I can't say Thune without saying how Thune. I certainly can. Oh, that's funny. Shout out to Rux indeed for working very hard to make this quarterly report. Mega shout out for all of his hard work on that. Definitely. All right. Any questions up to this point in terms of what I've mentioned so far? Whoa, hold on. Slow down on the flooding of questions. My goodness, folks. JK LOL. All right. Once again, I'll say it again. It's okay that we don't have questions. Hopefully, it means that everyone is on board, is tracking with everything we're explaining and talking about. And of course, the team does a great job throughout the week answering questions in the different chats available, mainly the vSPHERE chat and Dyson chat. Oh, I know exactly what it is, T1. Don't you worry. All right, let's get to some of the AMA questions because there were some interesting ones this week, as always, and from some folks that I'm not familiar with. So this is good. Hopefully, they're able to see this AMA or listen to it later so that they can hear the answers to their questions. So first is from Drawrical, wondering if vSPHERE is looking into real-world assets via tokenization opportunities for yield. Having a link to real-world assets rather than just DeFi could really add another dimension to this ecosystem. So a few things on this. The first is that where there are yield opportunities, we can certainly consider that. Currently, this is not something we're looking into at this moment. Remember that the goal of vSPHERE is to become a meta governance kingpin with the eventual transition to vSPHERE v3. So we want to, especially right now, expend our resources building out a high quality DeFi ecosystem such that the eventual meta governance power of vSPHERE is significant and holds a lot of value. Now, hypothetically, as Sphere's goal is to become decentralized through vSPHERE, if way down the road a governance proposal is submitted to invest in different real-world assets or tokenized real-world assets, and enough vSphereans vote yes to approve the proposal, then technically it could be possible. So just want to throw that out there. But it's certainly right now, our focus is very much on building out Sphere's DeFi ecosystem, again, such that vSPHERE can be as valuable as we can make it. With respects to its yield and governance power. Good question, though. Very good question. I think this is we're moving into the opinion section now. I think that real world asset tokenization is going to be kind of the next wave that we're going to see within crypto and DeFi. That integration will be very, very amusing to watch and witness. But I do think that that's the kind of eventuality, just because of the transparency, immutability, efficiency of blockchain technology. That's just where I see things going. Again, opinion based, but I think things will get really interesting. And then to see that integration of these tokenized assets into DeFi is also going to be quite fascinating to watch. Especially now you have these different tokens. How do you encourage liquidity for these tokens and that sort of thing? Do these tokens stay on centralized exchanges? Do they branch off into DeFi? How does that look? What does that integration look like? All things that I personally find very fascinating in the opinion section of the Price Time AMA, but henceforth, let's move forward. All right. Tsero with the question, if I lend ETH on Preon and borrow STAR, and then decide to single stake STAR, would it be possible to prioritize repaying the loan over having more STAR into the pool with the interest earned? So this is a very interesting thought, and it kind of requires a bit of a breakdown. So first off, when you say single stake STAR, you kind of have to think, what type of vault would this be? So in other words, where would the yield be coming from? So like yield farming with LPs requires more than one asset, and the actual yield comes from other users swapping between those tokens using your liquidity. In single-sided staking, there is no such liquidity yield, so the only possibility is an inflationary yield or yield from some other source, like vSPHERE, for example, where the yield comes from the ecosystem and treasury yield farming. One such example of a single-sided pool that will have real yield from Preon is the stability pool for STAR. So with a stability pool, users can single stake STAR to earn from liquidations, and this is being conceptualized such that liquidated collateral is converted into more STAR, such that the vault can auto-compound. This, of course, locks in the volatile yield for stability providers and enhances the STAR peg as more STAR is deposited into the vault. The downside with this single staking vault, however, is that liquidations are not guaranteed, so yield is also potentially sporadic. So if we're then, to get back to your question, Sarah, if we're considering your question with respect to the stability pool, we are not currently looking into using the stability pool yield to pay back loans over time. But you are, of course, always free to manually use any yield earned from your STAR yield farming strategies to pay back your loan. there's many ways that you can go about that. And also rest assured that there will be many yield farming opportunities for Star, including, of course, through our partner Kronos, whose concentrated liquidity vaults are launching this week, as we mentioned. All in all, though, this is a very interesting question, and these types of ideas have been considered by the team. Is ultimately what I can get to. But where we are right now is that, collateral yield is going to go towards increasing collateral such that you can borrow more Star, or if you don't borrow more, then your loan becomes healthier naturally over time. And of course, you can then use your Star in any way you see fit if you stay conservative and use stable pools or the stability pool. Then you can certainly start to use any of that yield to pay off your loan, and then over time, of course, you're growing your assets. Good, interesting question. I like the way that you're thinking about this and kind of considering how these things could potentially come together in the ecosystem. All right, Pakuk. What allocation will Sphere have in Preon? So this is not finalized, as the whitelist and presale of Preon is still underway. But it will be enough of an allocation such that Sphere will have significant voting power over Preon without completely removing the decentralized nature of Preon. So basically, we need to make sure that we can make VE Preon still a competitive token for those interested in its governance. And the same was true for like Penrose and Unknown. All right. Malay Malay B13 asked about contract addresses, and thank you T1 for responding directly. All contract addresses can be found on Sphere's Discord at #SphereContracts, and please do not use any other contracts besides these official listed contracts. That is especially important when you're trying to transfer tokens, or basically interact with tokens in general, because we want to avoid as much as we can potential scams. We absolutely want to do our best to avoid those, so please only use the official contracts, and thanks again T1 for linking that. Couple more here, and then I see there's at least one new one in AMA questions. ELCR, hi, quick questions. Any plans on supporting other chains? And thanks for Pandu for replying to this. But it ultimately depends on the project you're asking about. So assuming that you are referring to Preon, given that that's where most of the attention is right now, Preon will definitely support multiple chains. And this is actually accomplished through layer 0, which means that both the Star and Preon tokens will be omni-chain fungible tokens. So this makes multi-chain very easy to accomplish and scale, because you don't have to worry about cross-chain bridges. You can accomplish it through these omni-chain fungible tokens. Other protocol, other projects within the ecosystem, Dyson is already multi-chain. It's got yield opportunities across multiple chains. Penrose is specific to Dystopia on Polygon, and Unknown is specific to Cone on BNB. Sphere itself is on Polygon, and it is not on the roadmap. Can't speak. It is not on the roadmap right now to expand Sphere to other chains. All right, I thought this was a really cool question too. OXR. Has Sphere thought of becoming a validator of Polygon, or does the premise of 2.0 change that? So the way I wanted to answer this is, if a legitimate yield strategy exists in DeFi, the likelihood is that we have at the very least considered it. Of course, there are exceptions, and by no means whatsoever does that mean we know or are aware of everything. So we really do appreciate comments like this, because it does get us thinking, and it helps us understand what you guys are thinking. But what I will say, of course, is that a significant portion of the treasury is in Matic, and at this time we are primarily focusing on DeFi yield farming strategies for that treasury Matic yield. Don't forget that liquid farmed Matic, LF Matic, or Love Matic, as you can pronounce it, is still in the works in terms of what we hope to have within the Sphere ecosystem, and that of course is a type of liquid stake derivative for Matic. So in that sense, again, we would want to focus on these yield farming strategies to be able to provide additional yield for Matic than might otherwise be achievable by staking alone or validating alone. Welcome, Ando. Ando? Oh, Ando Color is nice. Did this just start or is it wrapping up? We are unfortunately coming close to wrapping up. However, if there are any questions that you have, I will be happy to answer them as to the best of my ability. Also, I am recording this on YouTube. The link is posted on the left side there. If you go to AMA Archive, the most recent post there is this current AMA. So you can always hop over there and go through the AMA. But again, if you have any questions, just let us know. All right. Look at that. iSeek. Roadmap shows Preon launches on Q4. Soon would mean October ? Or much earlier ? Now, veterans know that I cannot answer when questions on these AMAs. So unfortunately, the best I can offer you is soon. Soon, my friend. Yes, that is where I will stop. Cryptlex. Will it be possible in the future to take out crypto insurance to cover the systemic risks like hacks, bugs, etc.? I remember someone had asked this question many moons ago, way back. And at that point, the answer essentially was no, not at this time. It's not something we're looking into. One of the things that we want to make sure is that our code is covered and audited to the best of our ability, which is why we're going through the different auditing firms that we are. Of course, nothing is necessarily outside the scope in terms of, is this something potentially we could pursue in the future? Maybe. We kind of have to go with the flow also of what the rest of DeFi is doing as well. Not to say, of course, that we could just do that on our own, but I hope you see my point that ultimately we want to focus on having battle-tested code that, of course, is audited thoroughly to hopefully avoid needing something like that to begin with, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. It's a good question, though. All right. Carper Liam, give vSPHERE. T1 PT, what would happen if you told us the exact date when Preon will launch? That's an interesting question. I would say that I would lose the integrity that I have as an individual, and I value my integrity. So that's that. That, and of course, Pandu would spank me, so they delay it out of spite. That. All right, jumping back to AMA questions. Jay Bloomer, is Sphere looking to build on top of Pendle and or Radiant? Sim tweeted a little bit about Pendle. Interesting. Um, what can I say about that? Kind of similar to what I was saying about the some of the other questions. If there are yield opportunities, then the likelihood is that we have at the very least considered them. The other thing is that if we think that these yield opportunities would be something that community members of both sides would be interested in, and it could benefit both protocols, then it is something that we would be interested in pursuing. Um, Beyond that, it's kind of one of those things where I can neither confirm nor deny. But you know that Sim is thinking about it because he tweeted about it. Except it's not a tweet anymore, it's a post. CFO position still vacant, or is an AI is being developed for this function? Um, huh? I think at this point we're pretty good in terms of the positions that we have and the workflow that we have, but that is of course always subject to change. What else we got? I thought I saw someone typing in AMA questions. Maybe I was mistaken. All right, perhaps not. That is okay. All right. Well then, that does bring me to the end of what I had planned to talk about for this AMA. So let's poll the room once again. Does anyone have any lasting questions? Potentially off-topic questions may or may not be accepted as well, depending on the questions. Do I play Dota? I do not. But do you know who Sir Action Slacks is? I also don't. I'm sorry. Is that a YouTuber gamer? Hashtag gamer bro? Um, how about Rocket League? I have played Rocket League, but not avidly. Um, I do enjoy watching YouTube gamers. Long time ago I started with Markiplier, and then from there got into Jacksepticeye. And old Jackaboy is probably the one I watch the most. Though I do enjoy old school RuneScape content. T1, have you considered whether you will be singing for us? Well, all I can say, T1, is it is now in the hands of the marketing team. That is all I will say. All right. How's summer? Summer's good. Summer is good. It's definitely a hot summer. Good old global warming. All right. Well, guys, I think probably should wrap up pretty close to there. Um, of course, if anything else trickles in, what about, just singing like a song or something? Like I said, but man, it is now in the hands of the marketing team. That is what I will say. But I will also say, um, that's a great song, Ultra. I will say T1 that you were definitely the inspiration. But again, it is in the hands of the marketing team. Okay. All right. So let's end off there. Thanks, guys, so much for how was my childhood. Come on, bro. All right. We'll go ahead and end it there. Thanks, guys, so much for coming out. I appreciate the questions as always. The off topics are always great. So do appreciate it. Of course, if you think of anything else, you can feel free to drop it in AMA questions. We can address it next time. Or you can go to the various chats like the Sphere chat, Dyson chat, one of our team members, and potentially even community members will be more than happy to help you out. So thanks again for showing up. I'm excited for Preon. I really hope you guys are excited for Preon. Thanks, Ultra. And on that note, let's go ahead and actually end it here. Take care, everyone. Always remember that you matter for who you are. And until next time, peace out.